This clip is brought to you by 8 Sleep Mattresses, the temperature-controlled Tesla of beds that automates your sleep. Sleep better and enjoy this clip.
You have to be healthy in both ways, internal and external, but you don't find anybody talking about correcting postural deficiencies and muscular weaknesses before extreme loading occurs. And that's why everybody's in and out in 2 to 4 years versus like you and I are in it for 30 years. So that to me is one of the biggest problems I see today is the fact that we're not looking at everything long term. And in reality, if you want to be insanely strong, let's say this is, because I would say that most people watching this like to work out, but maybe they don't have the potential right now to be elite or one of the best in the world. But is it because you're not good enough genetically or your timeline's too short? Because I'll tell you one of the biggest things that was ever told to me that shaped my entire career. 21 years old, I squat my first 700. Okay? 21.
How long were you powerlifting at that point?
Already almost 10 years.
Whew.
I won my first world title at 19. I'd already been training for 7 years. I started when I was 12.
Yeah.
And in the long story short, there were a lot of supportive people in the area that were decent powerlifters that were only a mile from my house. So I got lucky. Starting younger, and they would never let me push until I failed. They always worked on technique first, blah, blah, blah. But the big thing is that at 22, I'm up closer to Chicago, and I squat 700. Guess who's there? Ed Cohen. And I didn't know him very well, but my coach knew of him. And he goes, you need to talk to him. And I talked to Eddie, and Eddie goes, man, that 700-pound squat looked really good. If you can stay healthy, in 5 or 8 years, you'll squat 800. And for an average person, they go, well, what? Another 100 pounds is going to take me 5 fucking years. I didn't care because I liked training. So to me, it was, it's not going to take me that long in my mind, but I didn't care if it did or not because I just liked being in the gym. So the thing of it is my timeline was never, I want to be this by 25 or I want to be this by next week. I will be as patient as I need to be to get where I need to be, period. And I think that's missing today. It's missing almost in every aspect of sport or whatever.
Even with weight loss.
Yeah, but when I was flying here from Ohio, I was reading some books because I'm actually going to write a book for human kinetics on conjugate training.
Sick.
Which is awesome, but it's a lot of work. And I was reading some things, and they said if you read for 1 hour a day, which is 5% or 10% of your day, in 5 to 8 years, you will be a master of your field if you read in that field. 5 years. It goes back to what Charles Poliquin used to say all the time. People overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what can happen in 5.
And Poliquin also said people should be reading at least multiple hours. I don't think it was one. I think it was multiple hours a day.
Yeah.
So.
And he did. I mean, he was a walking textbook. But I like to keep it around 1 hour. And just because I don't want to burn out. Here's the thing. It's like, how hard can you train in a session versus how much tonnage can you do in a month?
Yeah.
If you work out too hard in one day and you got to back off, you're actually better off training easy 3 days in a row versus one hard day and having to take 2 down. And that's the same thing with education, in my opinion. Slow, methodical amounts are more important than intense amounts at one bout. And that can be in education or in physical ability, in my opinion.
One thing that you were saying when Ed told you, you squatted 700, he said 5 to 8 years to be able to squat 800. First off, you're talking about people wanting to do things super quickly. Well, on social, the crazy thing is you see cats 1 year, they're squatting 700, and then the next year they're squatting 800, or they're getting very close to 800. You see guys who are deadlifting 850 or 900 1 year, and the next year they're deadlifting 1,000. So it makes me wonder because, I mean, even myself, when I came here to ST, I was deadlifting 620, and then in like 6 or 7 months I deadlifted 750, but it was because of all the people around me. So I wonder if, number one, strength does take time, but is it partially because a lot of people are seeing some people do this kind of quickly that maybe some of the processes are a little bit better, but also they're maybe going too fast at it at the same time?
The big question is, though, okay, let's say a guy goes from 700 to 850 in a year. Where's he at the next year? Yeah. He's fucking injured and he's gone. Yeah. That's the problem with today, is you see these guys do these immense things, but you don't see dudes lasting like Mike Bridges and Larry Pacifico. I mean, think about this. Larry Pacifico won 10 world titles in a row. Could you imagine being the best in the world in your weight class for 10 straight fucking years? At anything? Yeah. That is called the guy I want to fucking talk to. because not only has he figured out how to be the best, he's figured out how to fucking stay there. And that's the big problem we have
And you know
today
for a
is-
fact that he wasn't always the strongest. You know what I mean?
No.
Like he had to use his wits. He had to figure out like, oh, I'm going to catch this guy on my deadlift, or he had to be strategic, I'm sure.
Yeah, strategic. But the point is I don't take anybody's advice per se in certain things unless they show me that they know what they're talking about for at least 10 years. Because now their
I'm
longevity.
going to come back to the idea in 10 years.
So the longevity aspect of that creates the education.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we talked about that earlier, but there's so much lack of education these days. There's so much information out now, but nobody's utilizing it, and nothing's long-term. We look at all these strength studies. How many of them are longer than a year? None.
And who are they studying?
And yeah, exactly. Who are they studying? That's another issue. You know, I don't want to hear that you figured out how to bench press from a study that trained recreational lifters in college. They could only bench press 185 fucking pounds.
Yep.
Because
They went from 185 to 225. You're like, I don't care about that study.
yeah, awesome bicep curl, jackass. Right? But now you show me a study that takes somebody, say, from 450 to 500, 10% at that level. Now I want to hear what you have to say. And so there was a paper that came out a couple of years ago. I'd have to cite it for you, but they showed how long has Louis and myself and a handful of other guys talked about the bench press being a tricep mover. A lot, right? How you want to get your bench bigger, build your triceps. How many times did you hear that from Louis
Yeah, all the time.
for the last 20 years?
Yep.
Okay, there was a paper that just came out and said at maximum weights, the tricep is the main pressor and the pec is a stabilizer. No shit, motherfucker.
I love this shit.
This paper came out the day the day after Louis died.
Yeah, probably.
Just the way things went for him.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I mean, Charlie Francis had a great meme. I'll post it later today so people can see it. But Charlie Francis was the guy that trained Ben Johnson. Probably one of the best Olympic sprint coaches to ever live from
Most influential, yeah.
and influential. And he had a hellacious meme. He's been dead for a while. He said, the job of the researcher is to prove what I already know works.
Nice.
And I was like, fucking A, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I know you guys enjoyed the video, so like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord below. Talk to y'all later.